Chris Brown, Steve Tasker, and joining us in studio here, Bills team reporter Maddy Glab. Covered the press conference yesterday, provided some content on BuffaloBills.com afterwards, and I guess we begin, Maddy, with perhaps your biggest takeaways from yesterday.
There were a lot of takeaways from yesterday, but I think how Terry Pegula and Brandon Beane started off the press conference acknowledging, we're not excited to be in the position that we're in right now. None of us wanted to be in a position this offseason where we're looking for a head coach when we have the team that we have. General Manager Brandon Beane admitted, I bear the guilt. I feel like I was a part of what happened and a part of the staff that built this team, that built the roster, that built the culture, and the failure of us letting go of Sean McDermott means that I also bear that too. So I thought that was something that stood out to me. And Beane said things like, it means that I need to be better as well. I'm taking this and I'm looking forward and finding ways that I can be better in my job. And Terry and Brandon also took the time, rightfully so, to thank Sean for his 9 seasons in Buffalo, for all the winning seasons, for taking a team that hadn't been in the playoffs in 17 years and doing so with a group that a lot of people didn't think was possible, and creating a culture that people across the NFL talk about as one of the best cultures currently in the NFL. Being the leader that he was, I thought it was important to give him a send-off in that way, to appreciate everything that McDermott has done for this team, for the players, for Buffalo. I thought that was really nice to hear from both of them. And then understanding that we have a unicorn at quarterback in Josh Allen, who is set to enter his 9th NFL season, who has an MVP title under his belt, but has not yet made it to the Super Bowl. We have to do right by our quarterback, and we've been in this place where we've lost these heartbreaking playoff games where it comes down to a couple plays here or there, and I just felt like something has to give, and we have to set up our quarterback for success. We have to find a way to get over the hump, and we believe this decision will help us get there.
Mm-hmm. We see the initial list of head coaching candidates. That's a list that has the potential to get longer, as as Brandon Beane indicated yesterday, there are some teams still playing football with candidates they can't talk to. So this list could get longer, and I think we would anticipate it will. But what is your take at first blush looking at this current list of candidates?
Hearing from Beane yesterday during the press conference and just hearing the little nuggets of what they're looking for in their next head coach, you heard Brandon Beane say words like, we're looking for a CEO. This person has to be bigger than a schemer. They have to be bigger than a play caller. Being a head coach of a football team at the end of the day is about managing people, managing different personalities, and fostering the right culture in our building. Right. And you see some familiarity in those names across the board. I mean, Joe Brady has been here. He's been around Josh Allen as a quarterback's coach and as of most recently, an offensive coordinator, and knows what it takes to get this group to be a playoff contending group, a Super Bowl contending group. Brian Daboll was there when Josh Allen was in some of his younger seasons and lifting Allen off of the ground in the type of offense that he had in Buffalo when Allen was in his first few seasons as an NFL quarterback. Seeing those names and hearing what Beane said about we have to get over the hump. They're not going to hire a head coach where it's going to be a complete change of everything happening in this building. I think they're looking for somebody that can come in and work with what we have. And yes, there are going to be changes, but you are not doing a complete culture reset. You are not blowing it up. You have some big foundational pieces, and you're looking for that right person to tag on to Josh Allen and some other players and lift it where it hasn't been lifted before.
Yeah, and this is where you get into the question of the search and what the guys' qualifications are. Obviously, you got to vet that. But in a lot of these senses, mostly when you're a bad football team. You made a change because you're not getting better and you want to get better. This is not that. But you want to try and I want to ask you. You're not trying to like react to a problem.
Right.
The only problem is at the end, getting to the playoffs and winning a playoff game isn't even good enough. That's the problem. So what reaction is there? Like if you're going to hire a coach and he's going to be a reaction to the problems you've just had, that's really the question, right? And the problems seem, well, they're hard to pin down, right? What causes a team to get a bad call late in a playoff game every single year?
Yeah.
Right? Or that kind of thing, right?
It's so
or a misfield.
minute.
How what kind of guy can keep that from happening?
I think it's somebody who can be similar to like Sean McDermott was, who got the Bills to where they are and is a big part of everything that happened here, and is leaving this team with a team that is almost set to do it. You have to have somebody similar in ways who can be a leader of men, who can command a team, who can have a great relationship with your quarterback and get the best out of him and get the best out of your team when it's injured like it has been in the past. You have to be a great coach in the way that you develop players. I think that's such a big part of being a head coach, is having staff members in the building who can elevate your day 3 picks, who can elevate an undrafted player to step in for an injured person. And there's not a lot that has to be done. This team is so close to making it to the Super Bowl. It's a tweak here, it's a tweak there, it's being a little bit healthier in the next few seasons, fingers crossed, which is hard to have control over. And it's making sure that your quarterback continues to have the pieces around him that he needs and continues to grow in his game, even in his 9th, 10th, and 11th NFL seasons. We heard Beane say, the biggest priority for me is protecting Josh Allen. And look at the way that our offensive line has gotten better over the years. Yes, I know the chatter about getting a number 1 wide receiver is out there, but teams who have those number 1 wide receivers haven't always gotten to the Super Bowl. And for me, it's about protecting him. And a number 1 wide receiver might not be the end-all, be-all.
Yeah. And maybe a way to insulate yourself against injuries is to focus on, improving the quality of the depth on your roster as well. Because this was a team that unfortunately had to pull from their practice squad every single week of the season.
Yeah.
Terry Pegula made no secret that Josh Allen is going to be weighing in on who is ultimately hired as head coach. Not every team does that. What was your reaction to hearing the fact that the quarterback of this football team is going to be weighing in on who his head coach is going to be?
I think it shows that Terry Pegula and Brandon Beane have an immense amount of respect for their quarterback in Josh Allen, and they believe that he will know and will be a good judge of character. I think it's good to have somebody like that in the room who has the best pulse on what's going on inside of the locker room. To have one of your guys who's in the locker room every single day sit on those interviews and hear what's going on and be able to have an opinion of, yes, this will jive with us. Yes, this is exactly what we need. Yes, this has been what we're missing. Or no, this isn't going to be a great fit. I think that is so smart by Beane and Pegula to have a player on that interview panel to be your pulse check on what is good and not good for the locker room.
Yeah, I'm very curious if Josh is completely hands-on, like he's in those interview rooms, or is he on Zoom live, or is he watching the interview back on playback?
True.
Like, what's the role there?
Yeah.
We probably should ask more questions about that.
I think it will probably be more of bringing Josh in for the finalists rather than the preliminaries.
That's a good point.
A good point.
Because I think Josh will understand, how self-aware he is. It's going to be absolutely a non-starter unless Josh is fully on board day one. Said, this is the guy, let's go. Because the guys in the locker room will go where Josh leads them.
Follow.
Josh has to, so It will probably, this preliminary stuff, I mean, and of course today, if Josh is in the bill, we don't even know if he's in the bill. I probably not, but he doesn't have to see Brian Daboll.
Right.
Right. So, but there are going to be, when they get down to these second interviews, is probably the point where Josh is going to parachute in and say, what about, and they'll say, what about it? And he'll have some
Thoughts?
questions and thoughts and a conversation. Can we make this work? If there's something you're going to change, what's it going to be? How can I help? What are you asking from me that's different than what I've been asked of before? All of that stuff. But I think Josh will probably come in after they've weeded out. I mean, he's not going to talk to 12 candidates.
I talked about,
I don't think.
I mentioned the candidate list already, and it's not just people with time here in the recent past.
Right.
It's time here in the distant past, too. I mean, you've got Anthony Lynn,
Yeah.
who was an offensive coordinator under Rex Ryan, an interim head coach for a game, and then Anthony Weaver, who was here as a defensive line coach.
Yeah.
Even further back. So I found that interesting that from the very beginning of the ownership tenure of the Pegulas, they've pulled some names as well. I don't know what do you make of that?
I think you're doing your due diligence by pulling those types of names where when they were on staff in previous years, when Anthony Weaver was here, in 2013 as the defensive line coach under Doug Marrone, that those were people and personalities that you thought were good for the team at the time, and you respected, and they have risen up the ranks and have bounced around to different teams and have learned under different coaching staffs. I also think that is an important piece of this is getting somebody who has been in other places, whether that be in college systems or in systems within the NFL, getting to learn under different people and then getting to form your own identity of what is an NFL team going to look like, what type of offense are we going to run, what type of defense are we going to run. And so I think choosing people to interview like Anthony Lynn and Anthony Weaver. I wasn't in the building when Lynn was here, but I've heard so many great things about Anthony Lynn, and have a friend who was the team reporter with the Chargers, and she really enjoyed her time when Anthony Lynn was a head coach there. So I think you're choosing people who have a good rap around the league. And we heard Beane say, if this person is going to come in and wants to do a scheme change, like if we're going to change from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4 defense, that might be something that happens. But I think whoever they choose, this person is going to come into a team that has some big boulders right. And that's your quarterback in Josh Allen. That's the best run game in the NFL with the offensive line and James Cook. And yes, David Edwards and Connor McGovern are free agents. We're not sure what that's going to look like. But you have these big pieces that you are going to use next year to help you. You have some big names on defense, and you have some rookies who had a great first season and will hopefully take a big step in year two. And guys like Deion Walker, Jackson Hawes. Yes, Maxwell Harrison was injured, but he did have some time on the field during his rookie season. We saw some great things out of him.
Yeah, that's right. And this is a process. And what do you think about a timeline? I've been very sensitive to, because everybody talks. You always hear, you see these head coaches getting hired, and people get panicky that we're going to miss out on a great candidate. And there are some great candidates. It's real. But there are also probably more really good candidates out there than we're aware of. Most of them, they're all going to be on a list somewhere. I think it's still, I'm not really getting caught up in the panic. We've got to get this done now. Because I don't think think you're going to lose the guy that you want if you wait.
Yeah, and to flip it the other way, yes, you don't want to miss out on the right candidate, but the candidates out there don't want to miss out on a chance to interview with the Buffalo Bills.
That's a good point.
Who wouldn't want to coach Josh Allen? Who wouldn't want to walk into a culture like this? Who wouldn't want to walk into a team that's won 6 straight playoff games, being one of 4 teams in the NFL ever to do so? Terry Pegula and Brandon Beane said this is a desirable job, and I totally believe that.
True.
I think
that's true. Yeah.
I think the weight of the expectations here are heavy, but the lift to get the team to that place is not nearly as heavy a lift as a lot of other places. And because of
Yeah.
that, it's attractive.
The,
So-
the landing space is better as well. Think about it, because as much as we saw Sean McDermott be here for nearly a decade, the life cycle of a head coach in the NFL goes pretty quick. And if you come in here, you're going to win some games.
Right away.
You're not going to be bereft of being able to go out and just muscle some people around and win games with this roster, with the culture, with all the stuff that you're going to take over. So you're not going to look like a total failure by coming in, taking a new job, and if you win 11 games and get bounced in the playoffs after winning, like Sean McDermott, that may not be good enough. And but you're going to have a resume. It's like, listen,
Yeah.
I was winning double-digit games
Yeah.
here. So it is you do have, that quarterback and a fan base and a home field and a new stadium and all this stuff singing along here in Buffalo. It is an attractive spot.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question about it.
Let me ask you guys a question. You have been covering this league for so many years, and Steve, you obviously played in the NFL for so many years. What has changed about the way head coaching cycles are addressed, about how teams move on from coaches and move on to a new one that's very different from years ago?
I don't know that it's terribly different. It's always going to be a bottom line business. I mean, even the firing of Coach McDermott is not unprecedented. There's 5 other coaches in the history of the league.
It's rare, but it has happened.
John Fox got fired after losing a divisional playoff game in Denver after a 12-4 season. Marty Schottenheimer got fired after a 14-2 season in San Diego after they lost a divisional playoff game. George Seifert won a Super Bowl and got fired 3 years later after a 12-4 season and got replaced. So it's not unprecedented, and I think it serves as a reminder that this is a bottom line business, with the Super Bowl being the ultimate prize, and even very good is not good enough
I think
sometimes.
that's the thing that surprised a lot of people. And a guy like Terry, they're not in it to be good. They're not in it to,
Yeah.
the cash flow takes care of itself. Even the Cleveland Browns are getting cash flow. I mean, right?
Right.
This.
He's
I
in it
win.
for a higher
I
purpose.
want to win.
Yeah.
And that's when you get to places where it just seems as good as it has been. And let's face it, the Sean McDermott era in Buffalo will be remembered fondly,
Yes.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly is going to be it's like the era I was in. We, hey, great, we went to 4 straight Super Bowls. We never won a championship. But people are still,
Yep.
I'm living proof of how well we get treated, right?
I have witnessed it.
There you go. So this Sean McDermott era is going to be remembered very fondly by Bills fans. It was a blast. I mean, it was a blast
Yeah.
to be in Buffalo during this time.
I mean,
an absolute blast. So, but you got an ownership, you got coaches, you got fans who are like, dude, come on.
Let's get it.
Let's go. And
Yep.
even that is not good enough. So I think ultimately this may be the one aspect, Maddie, when you see these head coaches and the cycles they go on, and this may be one of the things about the National Football League that is unchanging. The
Yeah.
league evolves constantly.
Yeah. I don't think
it's
This is
changed
one
much at all.
thing that does not change. There were 10 vacancies this year.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
Maddie, thanks for the time as always.
Yep.
We appreciate it. We'll take a break here, get right back to your phone calls. So if you're holding at 803-0550, stay where you are. We'll get to you when we get back.